Which is more important, the visual or the audio? Or they're
Audio.
equally important? Audio is way more important.
Audio's way more important.
This is episode 52 of the Arts Academy podcast, How to Make a Concert Film with No Budget, hosted by Victor Varnado and Roxxy Haze.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Arts Academy podcast put on by the New York Alt Arts Academy. I am Dean Victor Varnado, and next to me is the Deputy Headmistress Roxxy Haze.
That's me.
All right, Roxy. I'd like to tell everybody that what we do at the Alt Arts Academy, or the Arts Academy podcast, is we teach you everything about entertainment and the arts in all kinds of ways. If you ever have any questions, just shoot them our way, either on social media. You can find us at Arts Academy Podcast on all social media, or you can shoot us a comment if you're listening to or watching this live. You can shoot us a comment. If you put something in the comments, we'll see it. We'll try to answer your question. Question that I get a lot from comedians, which is how to make a concert film for no budget. And the reason that people ask me this is because I have directed a few concert films and produced a few as well. One of the ones that I think I'm most known for is making the Awkward Comedy Show, which helped introduce Hannibal Buress and Eric Andre. It was one of their first appearances on television. And that was made on a shoestring budget. But now we're going to go from there to talk about how to make something for no budget. And I'm actually going to tell you how to make your own comedy concert, or you could also use the same technique to put a play on a video, or to do like a one-woman show or a music performance. All of these things will work for all of those different styles of performances. Basically, how to put turn a live performance into a concert film for no budget. And we're going to talk about a couple of things. First of all, not just how to do it for no budget. I'm going to tell you how to do it for no money. I'm going to tell you how to do it for a little money. I'm going to tell you how to do it for a little more money. And then, of course, if you've got unlimited money, you really don't need to hear this. You can just hire somebody who knows how to do it. So, go back to sleep in your big gold coffin. All right. I don't know why you sleep in a coffin. I guess you're a vampire. But let's get started. Okay. So if you're going to make a concert film for no money, there's always three things you have to think about at any budget. Here are the three things: your image quality, your lighting, and your sound. Okay. And with a concert film, each of those have very specific needs. And so we'll talk about the zero budget version of meeting those specific needs. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the easiest part, which is lighting. Generally, if you are trying to make a performance film and you are doing it in a theater with regular lighting, that's probably good enough. The thing that most people don't do is, if they're working with a low budget and they don't have somebody who is like following them with a spotlight, people don't always keep their face in the light. So I would say that the number one thing that you could do to make your image look good is make sure that your face is very well lit. And basically, if the light is in your face, then your face is well lit. And if you're leaning out of the light so that you can see an audience, the camera is not going to see you very well. So the main thing is, if you got no money, find your light. And I know that a lot of people have heard that before, but I'm sure that some people have not. So if you got no money, find your light. Okay, let's talk about number two, which is sound. Okay, if you have absolutely no money, this is how I would record the sound. Number one, you do have to record the audience separately than yourself as a performer. The easiest way to record the audience is with a cell phone. Just put a couple of cell phones in the audience, start their audio recordings, and then you can record. And a lot of people will say, "Oh my gosh, don't record your audience with a cell phone. It'll sound horrible." Not true. I have, with a cell phone, because cell phones have gotten really good nowadays. So I wouldn't want to record my my performance, like my stage performance through a cell phone. But as far as like laughs in the audience, you don't have to buy some expensive shotgun mics or have an expensive rig. It really is that easy. In fact, someone recently just brought me in to help them, and they had very little money to make a comedy special. And this is like a semi-famous comedian, and we recorded his audience sounds with cell phones, and that worked, and it sounded great. Not only that, if you record with cell phones, you're probably also going to be recording with the camera. So the camera audio, you can also use that to be your audience laugh. So if you're shooting with at least a couple of cameras and you have a couple of cell phones to record audio, that's plenty for your audience sound. You don't have to go any farther than that, and you will still sound professional. People won't be able to tell. Trust me on this. I've done it before. If you want to hear an example of something like that, you can actually look up. I made a free comedy EP called Stages of Being Black. You can go to the website albinowhythecagedbirdsings.com.
Wait.
You can pick up my free EP, which was recorded that way in, I believe, Philadelphia. I recorded it that way in Philly. No, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. I recorded it that way in Pittsburgh. It's a free EP. It has a lot of jokes on it, but it was recorded. It's recorded in exactly the way that I'm talking to you about how to record something for no budget. Okay, number 2.
Wait, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
When you do the audio while you're recording it, do you just record it straight through the phone, or do you have an app you use, or you just use the straight like video memo, or how do you do it?
Oh, well, I usually download a more professional audio app. One thing that your phone does, usually when you're using like the Memo, what was that?
The screen thing on my phone just snapped.
I don't even know what that means. The screen thing? What is that?
The glass.
Oh, the glass on your broke your phone?
No, yeah, it fell off and it just broke. That's weird. It was vibrating.
But that's your screen protector,
yeah,
right?
It's a screen, yeah.
Oh, so your phone's
yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so
Sorry,
one thing that cell phones do, the Memo app does for the audio that you don't want to happen is it will adjust. Like if there's not a lot of sound, then it'll adjust the gain louder, and if there's a lot of sound, it'll adjust the gain lower. You don't want your phone to do that automatically. You want to control that in your edit later. So it's better to just download a recording app, and I'm sure there are lots of free ones. In fact, I have a recording app on my phone called what is it called? I'm going to look it up right now and tell you what this recording app is. Cool. That I have.
didn't even think about putting multiple cell phones in the audience. You usually have people
you got a bunch of old cell phones. We got a bunch of old cell phones. Just put them in the audio. It's called Smart Recorder. Okay, it was free. Basically, when you open it up, it has an ad that it loads an ad when you open it up, but it's really simple. It just records, and that's it. Straight up records. So that's the app that I used for free. But you record with an app that does not adjust the gain. That way you can adjust the gain later yourself. And that app is 100% free. Okay, number 2, you want to record your voice clean. Okay? So the way you do that is through the audio system. Every audio system has outputs, and the outputs come in a lot of different ways, but the easiest way to record the outputs from the audio is first just ask. Usually if you're performing in any sort of like theater space or anything like that, usually they will have a way to record it. So you can just say, hey, can you make a clean recording of the audio from the performance? And then you'll just have it. Tell them to start their recording 5 minutes before the performance, and then end the recording like 5 minutes after the performance. The reason being, if you don't tell them to do that and then check, if you have no budget, you probably don't have a professional who 100% makes sure that it happens on set. So then just do it yourself. Just start it 5 minutes beforehand to make sure it's going, and then you want to do your performance. You can also hook into the sound systems yourselves with no money. You do have to have something that you can record with. So, like I have a bunch of tiny recorders. Hold on, let me grab one. It doesn't matter, but I have a bunch of tiny recorders. You can record with anything that you can make. You can adapt to go into your recorder. You can also do this with your phone. Like if you have a phone that you can stick a microphone in, like you can actually get those adapters that you can stick a microphone in your phone or something like that. That can carry a signal too. So all you have to do is ahead of time look at what the sound system is like, and then then figure out how you can hook that up to your audio recorder so that you can record your audio directly. If you have the ability to record on left and right channels, one thing you can do is make sure that one channel is a little bit lower and one channel is a little bit hotter. That way, if you're like a comedian that likes to scream in the mic, like if you're a comedian that's like, "Oh my God, look at this! Watch me hump this stool!" Like if you're like loud, then the low channel will make sure that you don't peak or overblow the audio channel. But then the high channel will make sure it catches all the smaller stuff. Like if you're like a whisperer, then it'll catch that smaller stuff. So if you have a big range of your performance, you're basically by recording a low channel, a channel that's like a low gain, and recording a channel that's a high gain, you're basically giving yourself like a backup. If one channel is blown out or inaudible, then the other channel will handle it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like, and it's really not that hard to do. But if you have the ability to do that, that's what you want to do. So all you really have to do is make sure you get a clean recording of your voice separately, and then record also with the phones. The reason that you don't want to just record or just use the audio from the cameras is because if you've got a friend who's operating a camera, then, or if somebody bumps into the camera, then that's going to be part of your sound. So it's the best bet is to have a dedicated recorder just for the audience. That's not something that's not attached to a device that people are going to be handling or bumping into during the show. Okay, great. That's fun. All right. So now let's talk about shooting on no budget. So if I had absolutely no money, I would straight up shoot my performance with the phone. You can, because phones shoot at 4K nowadays. If you have a phone that has manual controls, I would set your exposure manually on your phone. The reason that you want to do that is because if you don't set the exposure manually and lock the exposure, when you say walk in and out of light and your phone's doing face tracking, it'll like make the image brighter and darker and brighter and darker depending on what it thinks that you want, because through its auto adjustment, you don't want it to auto adjust while you're performing. If you're actually going to like release this thing to your fans or even take it somewhere else, like you have to make sure that your phone's exposure stays exactly as it should be, which is you set it at the top of the show and it stays that way the entire show. So again, and old phones are a great resource. I keep all my old phones. Like whenever I get a new phone, I keep my old phone, because right now I have one old phone that all I did was load in video recording software on the phone. So I use it as a complete like mini video studio that's always ready to go and always charged. And that's what I use that one of my phones for. And then I use the internal storage, so I never have to like bring a card or bring an extra battery. It's just always ready to go. And so if you have a couple of old phones, they all shoot in like HD or 4K, you can like make your entire performance around that. Now, if you have resources and you can get like a couple of decent cameras in there, great. and then if you've got friends who will also like work those cameras, absolutely great. But if you have absolutely no budget and no resources and no friends, and let's face it, we're comedians. A lot of us have no friends.
Yo.
But if you don't have all of that, then you can still pull it off with basically phones. Find your lighting. Make sure you have a clean recording of your voice. Make sure you have separate recordings of the audience. Then you can easily put that all together. I think the easiest way to do it is to get a free editing software, and possibly also using a thing called Pluralize. Okay, what Pluralize is, it's a soft. You know this? What this is?
This sounds like Pluralize. Let me look it up.
Oh, Pluralize. Pluralize is a software that that syncs up video and audio automatically, so you don't have to do it. So it'll sync up all your audio tracks, all of your audio tracks where you're talking on your mic, your audience audio tracks, your camera audio with your video. It'll sync it all up. It does it like in minutes. Then you're ready to go. I just shot a great big special. It's called Bring Back Laughs. It has like a bunch of people in it. It had Roy Wood Jr. in it, Tone Bell, Sam J. Like a lot of people shot on red cameras. But as soon as we were ready to go, I just did it this morning. I synced up. It had 6, 10, I think 12 tracks of audio, 5 cameras, and I just put it in this program and I sunk it all up. If you don't have Pluralize and you have no budget, just download the 30-day trial. It has a 30-day trial, and you could download it and sync up all of your stuff. If you don't have software to sync up your audio for you, and also Premiere does audio syncing too. Like you can sync up stuff, but it's not as powerful as Pluralizing and do like multiple sources and multiple cameras and multiple clips. But if you don't have that as a resource, what you can do is at the very beginning of your show, when all of your audio is recording and all of your videos recording, just slate. It's really simple. Just either have your host slate for you, or you can slate yourself right before your performance, or whatever. And slating just means that you just make some sort of sound and motion that is easy to pick out, so that you can sync everything up based on that. For most people, it's just a clap. Like you'll just clap, and then the visual of the clapping is enough to sync up all the video at the same place. The audio of the clapping is sharp enough so that all the sound sources hear it, and you can actually see it visually in the waveform. So then once that's all synced up, you can just use that to make your show. One of the last things I want to say is that when you're editing, there's a thing called audio ducking. Okay? What audio ducking is it prioritizes one channel of audio. For instance, the channel where your performance audio is coming from. So if you're like a singer or you're a comedian, is also super useful. And you turn on audio ducking, or you use whatever audio program you're working with and use audio ducking. What it automatically does is that when you talk, it lowers the volume of every other audio channel. Okay, so you call one channel the priority. So you have one channel that's your clean voice, and then it will automatically lower the volume of anything while your clean voice channel has audio in it, which means that if you turn it on, you can automatically make your thing sound like an album already, where like when you're not talking, the audience is loud and the laughs are big, but when you are talking, it like dampens that sound so that you don't hear the echo of yourself on the audience tracks, and you just hear mostly your actual clean recorded speaking voice instead. If you don't know how to do that in software, you can do it manually, but that's what you want to do. When you're speaking, you want the audience tracks to be lower because you don't want to hear that echo that makes it sound amateur. So you have to lower the audience tracks whenever you're speaking or singing or whatever, so that you don't get that house sound. But then when people are responding, like clapping or laughing or crying because you did the greatest one-woman show, then you want to hear those sobs loud and clear. So you'll bring that audio up for that part. So everything I just said is basically how to do a live performance with no budget from beginning to end. Now, if you have money, the first thing I would spend money on is cameras to get your image better. Because honestly, like I said, like you can use cell phones for professional performances and people will not know. I've recorded voiceover for TV shows on cell phones that stayed in the cut because nobody could tell because it's not bad. But the first thing I would spend money on is cameras. And the easiest way to get a good camera is, think about it this way. Yes, camera people will say, my day rate is $600. Great. But if your performance is only an hour, you can say, hey, will you come shoot this performance with your camera? I got $150. You do that 3 times, you've got 3 angles. Okay. 3 angles. They can bring their professional cameras, which they own. If they're not doing anything else, they probably won't say no to just shooting you for $150. You're probably not going to get the best camera people, but you will get a camera person who has already spent money on their pro camera, and then you get that footage, and then you can use it to put your thing together. That's what I would spend my money on first, is cameras, if you were going to spend money. And in that case, you've shot this special, which now looks professional, for $500, which is totally doable.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked a little bit about how to do a concert for no budget. I think we've covered everything. I mean, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask those questions. But if not, we are going to start wrapping up this episode. Do you have any more questions, Roxy? You've been really quiet this whole episode.
I was writing stuff down. I'm just like, this is some good information.
So why are you writing stuff down when this is being recorded?
I don't know. I like to. It just helps me when I take notes.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. You kind of answered the question I was gonna ask. We were kind of having a debate in another group. So you feel like, which is more important, the visual or the audio? Or the audio? Audio is way more important.
Audio's way more important. Yeah, audio is way more important because the only reason that I said the first thing I would spend money on would be video is because it's possible to get professional looking audio for no money, or professional sounding audio for no money. Mm-hmm. Like it's possible. Like if you're at some place that already has the ability to record your performance, then it's covered. Mm-hmm. And so you get that for no money. So if in that case, I would spend my first money on video. Gotcha. And then next money would be lights, and then next money would be audio. But this is only in this particular occasion. I would spend money in a different order if it were a different style of project. But we're talking about a live performance turned into like a concert film. Mm-hmm. That's what I would spend my money on first.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Because audio already sounds pretty, like if you can get audio with a cell phone for the audience performance, you don't have to spend money on that. You can spend money on that last, because that cell phone audio sounds just as professional. I mean, maybe not just as professional, but it sounds indistinguishable to most people when it's mixed in. Yeah, so no need to spend extra money on that. I have
another question too.
Yeah.
So as far as I don't know if this is something you're going to get into with the next episode, but I guess I could just ask it. As far as let's say you're doing it all by yourself, you have a small budget. Would you advise a person to spend more money on the actual stuff to get it filmed, or the editing part? Well, probably the filming part, right?
Yeah. I mean, probably the filming part, definitely, because if you don't spend the money on the filming part, what are you going to edit?
Editing is poor. Would you suggest they get a sound engineer?
If you mean to get a sound engineer to mix the end of it?
Yeah, if they kind of have a little bit of money.
Yeah, if you kind of have a little bit of money, I would I would spend money on cameras, and then I would spend money on your mix, and but also all of this stuff. In fact, some programs, including like Adobe Premiere, there's already machine learning in place where you can get something sounding professional with a few clicks. Yes, a sound engineer will take you over the top, but I encourage you to listen to that free EP, which is at albinowhythecagebirdSings.com, because I did that all myself as an experiment. I just wanted to see if I could do a comedy EP from beginning to end, and it turned out great. And so I encourage you to check that out. But yeah, I would spend money. Like if I had money, I would spend money on the mixing, definitely, if that were an issue. But you could also learn how to do that yourself, because it's not. I mean, to be professional at it is hard, but to make something that is passable as professional is not hard to learn. It doesn't mean that you can do it with no knowledge, but the knowledge is out there for free.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our first episode. Remember that you can find us at artsacademypodcast.com.